We've got 4 days until the Premier League season begins, and so for us FPL managers, that means we've been tinkering away at our teams, and I've been able to come up with another FPL draft that I want to share with you guys, so let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back to another video from A Man Talks FPL SC. In today's video, we're going through my latest FPL Game Week 1 draft. I've got 2 other videos on the channel in regards to FPL, my first draft, and also a video on how I ranked into the top 1000 last season. So if you guys are interested in that, I'll put links for that in the description below. Let's get into my latest draft. So starting off with my goalkeepers, I'm still sitting on a pairing of Bachmann and Ben Foster from Watford. The main reason being that I think Bachmann is potentially going to be making extra saves compared to a Robert Sanchez, who's the only other keeper I'm really considering, as I'm looking to only go for a 4.5 and a 4.0. Both of them have pretty decent defensive fixtures for the first 6 to 7 weeks, and I think that's a good time frame to use because I would be looking to potentially wildcard around Game Week 7 when there's a big fixture swing. That's not a hard plan of mine, but definitely something I'm thinking about. So I'm looking for like the first 1 to 6 to 7 weeks, and Bachmann's fixtures are pretty good. Yes, Watford's defense is probably going to be pretty tested given that they're making a big step up to the Premier League, but I look at those games and it's really only Tottenham that I'm concerned about. Aston Villa, Brighton and Wolves, I think he may not keep 3 clean sheets, but he may get 1 or 2, and in combination with saves, I think he could be a very good option, but I'm still a little bit torn on this one. I could very much easily just opt to go for a Robert Sanchez, who's a lot higher owned and probably a lot of a safer pick, so that is something I'm still deliberating, but at the moment I'm still sitting on that pairing of Foster and Bachmann. Moving on to the defenders, a slight change here from my initial squad. Kufal and Trent Alexander-Arnold are still in the team. I'm really happy with the pairing of them, attacking fullbacks with good fixtures to begin the season. I really like them, especially Kufal. I think at 5.0, he could be very, very good value in the West Ham system, where they do rely on a lot of crosses from their fullbacks and wingbacks, so I think he can profit very much there. Luke Shaw is the new inclusion here with development on my bench. Reason being is that, I kind of wanted to get Shaw or Dean in the team and, a 5.5 million price point defender, and with Man United's fixtures to begin the season, I think he's coming in with very good form, obviously from the back end of last season and also now the Euros. He did also get an assist in that preseason against Everton for Harry Maguire. Obviously, I'm not thinking about that too much, but obviously it's nice to see him get some attacking returns already in pre-season. But I just look at those fixtures for Man United, and I think he has to be in my team. He's very highly earned at about 51%, so it does seem like a bit of a risk to go without him. But I think, it's generally a safe pick, so I'm very happy to go with these 3 defenders in my team. The only real alternatives I'm looking at is potentially Luca Dean, how I just mentioned, at 5.5 mil. Everton also have good defensive fixtures, but I think they're probably not going to be as defensively solid as Manchester United in my opinion, so that's why I've gone for a Luke Shaw. Now, a change here in my midfield from my previous draft. Son is no longer in the team. I know, guys, it's really sad. I do have a good feeling about Son, and so I'm still thinking about whether to bring him into the team, but this is what I've thought of at the moment. Salah and Fernandes and Rafinha haven't left from my previous draft. I mean, Salah and Fernandes, I think, are basically going to be locks in my team. Both got very, very good fixtures to begin the season. Salah is going to be a great captaincy option 4 of the first 6 game weeks of the season. Fernandes, yes, he may not be captained as much as Salah, but I still think with those fixtures, he's going to be a very, very good option. And if I don't go with Son to begin the season, I think Fernandes is likely going to be my captain in Game Week 3. Based on what we're seeing in pre-season, Wolves are playing a little bit of a higher defensive line, and apparently from the reports that I'm reading, their manager is looking to play a bit more of an attacking style of football, and so we might not see Wolves be that solid defensive team that we've seen under Nuno in previous seasons. So for that reason, I think Fernandes against Wolves in Game Week 3, he could be just as good as a captain option as Son against Watford. Maybe not quite as good, but still a very, very solid pick. So I think Fernandes, given that I'll probably be captaining him in Game Week 3 as of this current draft, and also in Game Week 4 against Newcastle, I think he's worthy of inclusion. Rafinha's fixtures are not as easy with United and Liverpool in that first 4, but the way that Leeds play, he's on set pieces, he posted amazing chance creation and just overall attacking stats in last season. I think he's a really good option at 6.5 million. The only other person I'd consider would be like a Buendia, but he didn't play in Villa's final pre-season friendly, and apparently that he has had a slight hip knock, I think it is, and so I'm a little bit concerned if he's going to be available for Game Week 1. Even if he is playing, we don't quite know how he's going to gel with all the new players. I think Rafinha longer term is just going to be a safer pick because also Leeds fixtures from Game Week around 4 and 5, they do take a turn for the better, so I really like Rafinha in my team to begin the season as it is. Mason Greenwood is the new player in my draft. This 7.5 million slot is definitely going to be, I think, where I'm going to try to put a bit of a higher upside, maybe a slightly higher, riskier player. The 7.5 mil to about the 10 mil options in midfield are really strong differentials. You know, you've got Greenwood, you've got Jota, you've got Mahrez at 9 million, you've got Havertz at 8.5, you can go all the way up to Son at 10. I think this is the position that you can really differentiate your team, because I think the template is pretty strong otherwise, because most people are going to have Sanchez in goal. You know, Trent, Kufal, Shaw, Dean are probably going to be forming the majority of people's defenses. Salah, Fernandez is going to be highly owned, as is Rafinha. So I think this is the opportunity where you can potentially go different if you do want to go down that path. As I mentioned, United's fixtures are really strong to begin the season. If you actually compare Greenwood and Jota, Jota does post better stats per 90 minutes and also per appearance. But the question mark I have over Jota is Firmino is back. He did play in the preseason friendly, and I would expect, you know, Liverpool to go with a front three of Mane, Salah and Firmino to begin the season. Obviously, we don't quite know that yet, so that is the risk that you take on Jota. But I think if you've got the stomach to take that risk, I think in that first game week against Norwich, Jota could be a fantastic option. His stats are a lot better than Greenwood, but I think Greenwood is potentially a safer option given that Rashford is still out injured. Sancho might not be available for game week 1. I think Edison Cavani's only just rejoined United only like a day or two ago in terms of training with the squad, but Greenwood has been there all preseason, and I think he has a better potential to actually start in the first few game weeks, which is why I'm willing to take the punt on him. If he somehow loses a spot, that's something we can reassess, because there are other options in that price bracket that I mentioned. Harvey Barnes is someone I didn't talk about, but you know, I think I'll be able to change the squad around if I do opt to go for like a Mahrez or a Son later, and Greenwood would be the one to upgrade. So at the moment, I do like him. He adds that flexibility, but also decent upside. And even in games where he comes off the bench, he is still able to deliver attacking returns, even if he only plays like, say, half an hour. So at the moment, I'm leaning towards Greenwood over Jota for those reasons, but I can't argue against anyone else who's going for Jota instead of Greenwood. Now, if we take a look at the forwards, again, change here. As I mentioned, Ollie Watkins, bit of a risk now that Danny Ings has joined Aston Villa, and so he's also made his way into my team. I just wanted at least one player from Aston Villa, just given their opening fixtures are so solid. You know, Watford, Newcastle, Brentford in the first three, you know, you have to go for a Villa player in my opinion. And yes, Ings has only just joined the team, and we don't quite know how he's going to fit, but it's hard to just do like a wait and see approach, because you want him for those first 3 games. So I think it's more of a case of put him in the game week 1 team. If he doesn't work out after the first 3 games, then you can, you know, transfer him out to someone else. And that's kind of the opportunity I'm looking at potentially, that say in the first 3 game weeks he doesn't do that well, you know, I can drop Ings down to like a 4.5 if I'm looking to change formation. You know, that would free up 3.5 million, and that's an easy upgrade then from Greenwood to like a Son maybe in game week 3 or game week 4. You know, that's the kind of flexibility I think this formation provides, and what Danny Ings' price point provides at 8 million. Or, you know, you can make a straight swap to like a Dominic Calvert-Lewin if he starts the season strong, because Everton's fixtures are very good as well to begin the season. And so I really like his price point, but also this fixtures to begin the season. He is hopefully going to be on penalties, so I think he's a really strong option now. Antonio has not left the squad. I think he's not going to be leaving the squad either. He posted amazing XG stats to end of last season. He's really, really explosive. He can easily go off for like a goal assist or a double in any game. We've seen him score 4 goals in the past. And I really like West Ham's opening fixtures. You know, Newcastle, Leicester. Leicester could be tough, but they have lost Fofana. Johnny Evans might not be fit to begin the season, so you would expect their defense to not be as solid as we would think so. And then you've also got Crystal Palace and Southampton in there. You know, he could even potentially be a game week 3 captain if I decide not to go for a Son, but maybe Wolves are looking better. You know, Antonio against Crystal Palace, I don't think that's a horrible captaincy pick. And so again, 7.5 million, there's a lot of good strikers around this. You know, Watkins might be doing well. You've got Callum Wilson, and so I really like having that kind of price point in this team as well. And for me, Antonio is the pick of those. Finally, Ivan Toney has come into the team. He wasn't in my previous team, but I did have a feeling that I'd want to get him into the team somehow. He's very, very highly owned. I think his ownership is like 30% plus at this point. And I just have a feeling that Brentford are going to want to put on some attacking displays to begin the season. You know, they're playing the opening game against Arsenal, you know, their first game in the Premier League. I think it's 50 years that they've been there. Surely their home crowd is going to be up for that. I feel like there's going to be so much hype around that game. You know, based on the highlights that I've seen of Toney, I haven't seen that much of him. He looks like that kind of a confidence player. You know, this could be me talking absolute rubbish, but he just looks like a guy who I think plays with confidence. So I think that game week 1 matchup, even against Arsenal, who are pretty decent defensively, I still think he could grab something. And then the games after that, Crystal Palace, Aston Villa, Brighton, they're not bad fixtures. So for me, Toney, I think he's going to be in the squad. And on the bench there, I've got Brownhill at 4.5, and then I've also got Omobamidele, if that's how you pronounce it, from Norwich. This could be any 4.0 defender. It could be a Marty from Leicester if he does start in the first few weeks. And so I do prefer this bench to the one that I had in my previous draft, mainly because there's going to be 2 guys on that bench who will play in Brownhill and Veltman. Again, Brownhill could be a different 4.5 million midfielder. He could be Gilmore, he could be Gibbs-White. That's something I'll have to decide come the deadline. But for now, you know, that's 2 options who can come off the bench. And I think with Greenwood, it probably is more important to have maybe an extra guy who can come off the bench just in case Greenwood does get rotated, which is why I really like Veltman, because Brighton have got great defensive fixtures to begin the season, and so if Veltman had to come on for Greenwood, that's not a horrible loss, you know. So this is the updated squad. I'm really happy with this 3-4-3 formation. I think the one person I really want that's not here is basically Son, but as I mentioned, I think there are ways to get to him, and I think with Man City in the first game week, I can afford to wait and see, you know, capitalize on the better fixtures from Villa. If any one of these players doesn't do well, you know, I think there are ways to downgrade and also then to upgrade Son. And so this is how I'm looking at it. I think the overall squad is a bit more flexible, and so in my eyes, I'm more likely to go with this than what I had in my previous draft. And so for now, this is my squad, although we all know it's likely going to be different come game week 1 deadline because we just love to tinker. Right, everyone, that is my latest game week 1 FPL draft. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. As I mentioned, I've got 2 other FPL videos with my previous draft and also my tips on how I got a top 1000 ranking last season. So if you guys are interested in that, I'll put links to that in the description below. As I mentioned, we're so close to 1000 subscribers, so I'd really appreciate a subscription and a thumbs up to the video. I will likely come back with a final game week 1 draft video this Friday, so do stay tuned for that. But until then, see you guys in the next video.